Iran is conducting a massive missile test that Israel fears could turn into a full-on assault, prompting Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu to conduct a war simulation and issue a direct set of threats to Iran. This comes as a Lebanese security officer is possibly kidnapped by Israel in a ploy to find missing Israeli hostage Ron Arad, and Egypt and Turkey move forward to strengthen their security alliance on Israel's borders. Over the last few days, the Islamic Republic of Iran has been conducting missile tests across the country, and by missile tests, I mean they have been firing off ballistic missiles at unspecified targets. Apparently, Israeli officials are concerned that the supposed tests could be a cover for an attack on Israel, and in response, they are taking every precaution. According to Iranian media, Amir Hatami, the top commander of the Iranian army, just said in a statement that their troops are on a high level of readiness and combat capability. He also said, quote, "Thank God the morale of our comrades on the country's borders is very good, and their equipment and facilities have also been prepared in line with the experience gained from the 12-day imposed war." Netanyahu, for his part, issued a warning to Iran in a joint conference with the Prime Minister of Greece and the President of Cyprus, saying that should Iran take action against the Jewish state, they would see in return a very severe response. He also added that Israel is not seeking confrontation with Iran. Israel also, in preparation, ran a series of exercises preparing for a mass casualty situation with mobile medical infrastructure that could be used for rapid reorganization, evacuation flows, and mass casualty intake under pressure. Prime Minister Netanyahu had to spend the day in court due to his own ongoing legal proceedings, but he was brought in via video conference for his assessment. According to reports in the media, Bibi is scheduled to meet with President Trump in the States in Mar-a-Lago next week if everything remains calm, and is planning to present Trump with a new set of plans for a possible fresh operation against Iran. It's looking like Iran learned a lot from the initial confrontation with Israel this past year, and in a future confrontation, their forces would be a much greater threat to Israel, especially with their expanding missile attack program. It's looking like even though Iran is pushing to rebuild their nuclear program, getting that operational is going to take some time. And for the immediate future, it seems like they're focusing specifically on their conventional missile program, which could be a very real threat to Israel's security. Iran is pushing to develop the capability to fire thousands of ballistic missiles in a single launch, something that could overwhelm Israel's ability to defend their population centers. Even in the last attack, when Iran was only able to fire a few dozen missiles at a time, we saw several slip through Israel's defense system and inflict tragic damage to Israeli neighborhoods. To quote the Jerusalem Post in regard to the last attack, they said, in all, Israel suffered 36 missile impacts and 1 drone strike in populated areas, causing damage to 2,305 homes and 240 buildings, along with 2 universities and a hospital, leaving over 13,000 Israelis displaced. At this point, according to some U.S. officials, Iran is ramping up to the production of 3,000 ballistic missiles every single year, which is a terrifying arsenal if they used it against the state of Israel in a full-on attack, which we know they are capable of doing again. The Washington Post reported this last week that Bibi and Trump may be discussing another preemptive strike on Iran as early as February. So what happens with that remains to be seen. In a second, we'll get into what's going down with the kidnapping in Lebanon that we spoke about earlier on, as well as an update on Egypt and Turkey. But first, guys, the redemption in Israel's heartland is happening just like the prophets foretold. And as part of that redemption, farmers are once again planting vineyards on the mountains of Samaria. And those vineyards need pruning every winter. If you want to put your boots in Israel's dirt tangibly for yourself, experiencing the Bible in a way few other people get to do, join us for a 2-week trip beginning February 16th. This is a trip specifically for men ages 18 to 64, or as young as 12 if accompanied by their father. If you join us, you'll be staying at our campus in Har Bracha, working right alongside a lot of us here at the Israel Guides in the vineyards of Judea and Samaria, You'll hear from powerhouse Israeli speakers, interact with locals, and join us for relaxed tours of the biblical locations in the heartland of Israel that few tour groups go. If you're interested in joining us, go to serveisrael.com for details. That's serveisrael.com. As we've seen over the years, the Jewish people have a very long memory. Ron Arad was an Israeli Air Force weapons systems officer who flew in a mission to attack PLO targets in southern Lebanon in 1986. The F-4 Phantom he was in dropped a bomb on a terrorist target, and the bomb exploded prematurely, damaging the plane and forcing the crew, him and his pilot, to eject. The pilot was rescued by a helicopter just shortly afterwards, but Arad was captured by the Lebanese army and eventually thought to have been transferred to Hezbollah. Since then, Israel lost all trace of where he was. There are several credible reports done over the years that claim that Arad is no longer living, but that hasn't deterred Israel from continuing to search for where Arad may be or where his remains may be buried. And to this effect, apparently the Mossad just possibly kidnapped a Lebanese intelligence officer in order to extract information. According to Lebanese media, the former Lebanese security officer was lured to the Bekaa Valley in southern Lebanon, where he disappeared. Relatives of that officer are claiming that his brother was a part of the initial kidnapping of Arad back in 1986, then was killed by the IDF in an operation in 1988. And the Lebanese media is pinning this officer's disappearance on the Mossad. Why they're claiming that this was Mossad isn't readily apparent, but this is a very interesting situation, to say the least. God willing, whether through this or some other way, Israel can provide closure for Arad's family in some way or another in the near future. All of this comes as Turkey and Egypt seem to be deepening their security cooperation on the military and security fronts. Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, has been preparing to meet with officials from Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar to discuss next steps on Gaza. But Israel is pressing to keep Turkey excluded from these discussions. And some analysts are starting to notice some daylight between Israel and the Trump administration in their general approach to management of the Middle East, specifically when it comes to these countries. The Trump administration seems to still view Turkey and Egypt as allies, countries that they are trying to draw closer into the fold with the United States and Israel, while Israel is growing increasingly concerned about these states becoming hostile if given too much free rein. And as concerning as both of these countries are to Israel individually, together they become something else entirely, and it does seem like they are growing closer. After over 10 years of frozen military ties, both Egypt and Turkey conducted joint naval exercises together this last fall. Then several weeks later, Egyptian and Turkish officials met to launch a joint planning framework to manage cooperation for security and political matters together. And when it comes to this Gaza issue, Egyptian officials have been doing everything they can to pressure the other countries that are working on the matter into allowing Turkey to take part in the effort to manage Gaza. You'll remember that Turkey has been very persistent to date in insisting that they want to send troops to Gaza, something that Israel is not excited about, to put it mildly. All of this is very concerning, to say the least. The last thing Israel needs is more Egyptian and Turkish military presence on their borders, especially when they are working in lockstep with each other. Both of these countries are ancient enemies of Israel, and in recent times have continued to prove that not much has really changed. Guys, don't forget about our pruning trip coming up in February. You can check out the details at serveisrael.com. Also, we're still running our matching campaign to help raise the funds needed to run our operations here in Israel, the volunteer work, the media work here at the Israel Guys. You can give a tax-deductible gift at theisraelguys.com/donate. Thank you so much for your support, and as always, thanks for watching.